Hey guys, your sound is down. I can't hear you.
Oh, we're good. Okay. I'm the marketing coordinator here at Silhouette. Oh, okay. I'm just going to start over. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to today's Intro to Silhouette class, How to Make Your First Cut with Silhouette. My name is McKenna Blanthorne, and I'm the marketing coordinator here at Silhouette America. And I get to run the social media. I get to teach these awesome classes. And I write blog posts, so I get to do all kinds of fun things for my job. And I also get to interact with all of you guys through social media and through these classes, which is probably my favorite part of the job. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of give you an overview of what this class is. So first off, I want you guys to put in the chat if you already have a cutting machine and if you already have a Silhouette machine, or if you're totally new to cutting machines, just so I can kind of know where we want to take the class today and kind of what level we're going to take it at. This is a very beginner class, like I said. We're just going to go over our three main machines that we sell at Michael's. And we're going to talk a little bit about those, and I can ask you or answer you guys' questions about those machines. And then we will do a very small, simple project at the end just to demonstrate how the machine works and a little bit of the software. But mostly this class is just an overview intro of what the Silhouette machine does and what you can do with it. So it looks like... So Allison says she just got her Cameo 4, but she hasn't used it yet. Thank you so much, Allison. We're so excited to have you here. This is going to be the perfect class for you to just show you how to get started. Dee also has a Cameo but doesn't know how to use it. Cameo, totally new to cutting machines, Tina. All right, so it looks like either a lot of you are new to the Cameo 4, which is perfect because that's the machine we're going to be using today, or you're just new to cutting machines in general. Awesome. So like I said, we're going to keep this class very, very basic. This class is just going to teach you the bare minimals, the bare essentials that you need to know on how to use your Silhouette machine. But we do classes every week, and those are project-oriented classes. So every Wednesday, you can look on Michael's online classes. And next week, we're going to be doing a snow globe project with the Pretty Life Girls. If you guys know who they are, they're super awesome. And they're going to be teaching you how to do a project. And then at the end of the month, at the end of every month, we do a premium class, which is $20. But that class is a special class that teaches you special skills and more about the software. And it's just a lot more in-depth, and you get to interact with the awesome teacher who's on our class today, Kelly Waymont, and she will actually be helping me in the chat too if you guys have any questions. So just keep that in mind, that this class is very, very basic, very beginner. We're just going to go over the bare essentials, but we're super excited to have you guys today. And if you have any questions, put them in the chat. I will be trying to look at the chat as much as I can, but like I said, Kelly is also on and looking at the chat, so she can help you guys out too. Awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started by just talking about the Silhouette machines. So it said that, or you guys said that a lot of you are new to cutting machines in general, and I know that cutting machines can seem kind of overwhelming, kind of daunting, especially nowadays where most of them are powered by the computer, and it seems like you have to have a lot of electronics knowledge and things like that. But I do think that the Silhouette is very user-friendly once you get the hang of it, and I wanted to point out that I started working at Silhouette about a year and a couple months ago, and I still consider myself a beginner just because there's so much to learn always. There's new tools that I haven't ever used, but I've still made awesome projects with my Silhouette machine. So don't get too overwhelmed by the software and all the things you can do, because I just think you need to learn one tool at a time, and if you do that, then you won't get overwhelmed and you'll still be able to make awesome things. So let's start out by talking about our flagship machine. This is the Cameo 4, and this is our most popular model that we have here at Silhouette. This is our machine that cuts the most materials blade-wise, so where you just open it up like this, and then you can see that the main blade goes here in this slot. Right now we have the auto blade in it, which is what comes with your machine when you purchase the machine from Michaels. And I actually think their Black Friday sale is still going. So the machine is I believe when I looked this morning it was $269.99, which is discounted. So if you are looking to buy a machine, now is a great time to buy with the Black Friday sale. But this is where the blade that comes with the machine goes. This is the auto blade, and then we also have a manual blade that if you don't want to use the auto blade, you don't have to, but this blade adjusts automatically. You just select the material you're using in the software, and then it just adjusts automatically for the settings that it needs to cut. And then this slot over here is for our secondary tools. It's the second carriage, we call it, and it just has more power and more force since you have both of the you have both slots in the space. And this slot is good for, we have a rotary blade that can cut textiles like felt, fabric, and things like that. And then we also have a craft blade that can cut leather and foam and just a whole bunch of other products. So if you are looking to do more specialized crafting, the second carriage is a great option. And there's a complete list of the materials that the Cameo 4 can cut on our website at silhouetteamerica.com. So if you're interested in that specifically and knowing what different materials it can cut, that's a great way to find out. So when you do cut with the Cameo 4, there's two different ways that you can do it. So the first way, it comes with a mat, and this is just a 12 by 12 sticky mat. This mat is brand new, and we will cut with it later today probably, but you can see that it has a nice tack to it for paper or a lot of those other materials that I was talking about. Some materials like textiles, you are going to want to use a strong tack mat, and then we also have a light tack mat that we sell separately. That is good for paper crafting because sometimes your paper curls if you're using a regular or strong tack mat. So that's a great option, but this is the mat that comes with your Cameo 4 when you purchase it. So in the box you get the machine, the mat, the blade, and then also the electronic cables that you need to connect the machine. So that's what you get with the Cameo 4, and then I just want to point out two really, really cool features that this machine has. So when you open it up down here, this is a roll feeder for vinyl, and you just open it like this, and then I actually have some 9-inch vinyl right here. So it can cut 9 inches or 12 inches of vinyl. We sell both because I'll show you next that we have the Portrait 3 machine which can cut 9-inch. So you can just go ahead and adjust this to the size of vinyl that you're doing, and it kind of clicks into place once it's ready. And then you will just pop this in there, feed it through the base, and then you will press this upper button to load it. So this is a super awesome feature, and something that's special to Silhouette is that you can cut any brand of vinyl matless with our machines. So we know that you don't have to buy our vinyl. We don't want to make you buy our vinyl or our heat transfer or anything like that. So for that reason, we've created this roll feeder and the matless cutting feature that is good with any brand of vinyl you want to use, because we know everybody has their own preferences. So that's something that's super awesome about Silhouette. And then I also wanted to turn this around and show you guys the roll feeder, the built-in roll feeder, or not the roll feeder, the cross cutter. So when you're all done with your project, you go ahead, you can just press the downward arrow, and then your material will feed through the back. And I'm just going to cut a small piece to show you guys. But then when I put this down, so ideally my cut would be on this piece, and I wouldn't have to cut any extra vinyl. This is kind of hard to do from the back. And then I'm just going to slide this across. It's a little paper cutter or cross cutter because it's not paper. And then I would just pop this back up, and then my vinyl is all cut. So I would have my nice little piece of my design, and then I could also cut this little piece, and it reduces your waste of vinyl. Which I know everybody's always wanting to save on because vinyl can be super expensive. So those are two really, really awesome features of the Cameo 4. Does anybody have any questions about the Cameo 4? I realized I wasn't looking at the chat, so all right, so it doesn't look like we have any questions about the Cameo 4 specifically, but if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and put them in the chat. I saw some of you guys are using the Cameo 3, which is a super awesome machine. The biggest difference between the Cameo 3 and the Cameo 4 is just that the Cameo 4 can cut more materials. So that's just an upgraded feature of the Cameo 4, is the ability to cut more because it has the second carriage. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug this back in again. And then we'll just put this to the side for a second. And then let's go ahead and go back and talk about the Portrait 3 machine. So this is the Portrait 3 machine. It's our smaller machine that we have, and it also just has a small footprint. It's very small. I'm just going to maybe put it in my hands just so you guys can see how big it is. This machine is perfect if you're doing smaller projects like labeling your kitchen or making gift tags or making stickers. I think the Portrait 3, it fits 8.5 by 11 paper perfectly. So if you're making stickers with sticker paper or gift tags or things like that, this is the perfect machine to use for it. And we don't have a blade in here now, but the blade actually just pops right in here also. And when you purchase the Portrait 3 at Michael's, it will also come with the machine, the blade, the mat, and the power cords that you need. So like I said, the Portrait 3 is our most popular option for print and cut. If you are going to be doing stickers or anything like that, we know a lot of small businesses use the Portrait 3 to make stickers and planners and planner decorations and things like that. So it's super awesome. I've seen a lot of people that use it on social media for small projects, like if you don't have a crafting room, this is a really great machine to have because it doesn't take up as much space. So you can store it in a cupboard really, really easily, and then you can pull it out and use it at your kitchen table or a small desk space if you don't have a craft room. So we love the Portrait 3. I love it. I use it all the time for just small projects that I'm doing around the office if I don't want to get the big Cameo out. And I also want to mention that both of those machines are Bluetooth compatible also, so you don't have to actually connect it to your computer if your computer has Bluetooth as well. Okay. I'm just looking at the chat. Okay, perfect. So now let's go ahead and talk about our biggest machine. I'm just going to move these out of the way because it is a very, very large machine. So the Cameo Pro is the largest cutting machine, DIY cutting machine on the market. And it can cut 24 inches in width and up to 10 feet in length. And we don't have it right now because it doesn't pull out, but it also has a roll feeder or a mat support that you set up with the Cameo to stabilize your mat or hold your vinyl, so you can just cut really, really big things or really, really long things. So this is a super awesome machine for the biggest crafts you can ever imagine. Like I said, this is the only machine on the market that can cut up to 24 inches in width. So it's a super awesome product. We love using it. We've made some super awesome, really big projects. And just before this class started, we were talking about how you could also use it to just cut out a ton of little things at once. So whether you're a small business and you maybe, like my thought process was if you sell earrings or something like that, and you need to make a ton of earring card holders or just packaging for your small business, you could totally do that with the Cameo Pro super quickly and super efficiently. So it's a super awesome machine. It has all the same cutting capabilities as the Cameo 4 because it's the same model. It's just bigger. It's just wider. So this is super awesome. This is also available at Michael's. They do sell out very quickly when they do come into stock, but I know that they are available right now. So if you are thinking you want to gift yourself a Cameo Pro for Christmas, you can totally check that out on michaels.com. And you can order it, you can ship it to your house. It's super simple. And we do have a lot of classes for all of these machines. Since this is more of just an intro class, we have classes for the Portrait, the Cameo, and the Cameo Pro on our own YouTube. That's Silhouette Inc., like incorporated with a C. And then we also have lots of classes on Michael's because we've pretty much been doing these classes every week for about 1.5 years. So there's a lot of classes that you can look at if you're looking for project tutorials or things like that, or you just want to know more about your software. So those are our 3 machines. And like I said, if you guys have any questions about them, you can continue to put them in the chat. We'll be looking at it. But we're going to go ahead and just kind of get started and open up our software. So if you are one of those people at the start of this class that said you either just purchased a Cameo 4 or you have a Cameo 4 but you haven't gotten it out of the box or you're not sure how to use it, I think this part of the class is going to be the most beneficial for you because I'm just going to open up the software and teach you guys the basics of what you need to know about cutting with your Silhouette machine. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to screen share. And then we're just going to shut that. And I'm going to just come down here and double click the Silhouette Studio. And I already have this downloaded on my computer, but even if you don't own a Silhouette machine, you can still download the software for free. You just would have to visit our website, which is silhouetteamerica.com, and visit the software tab. And you can download it, you can play around with it, see if it's for you, and just try it out. And I am actually a graphic designer, and I think this designing software is incredible, especially the fact that it's free. I think it's some of the best designing software that I've ever come across, especially for free. So just go ahead and check it out. It's a super awesome, super fun program, and I think anybody can use it once you learn the tools. And I also want to point out that I have a whole bunch of tools on both sides over here. And that's because I have upgraded the software. The basic edition has a few less tools, but we do sell one-time upgrades that you pay one time for a payment and then you have it forever. So I just want to point that out, that if all these tools look like it's too much for you, the basic edition doesn't have that many tools. But if you are looking for more tools, this is what the designer and the business edition look like. So that's kind of a fun upgrade once you learn the basic tools that you can check out if you're interested. So when you open up Silhouette Studio, this is what it looks like. It will open up a cutting mat that defaults to the last settings that you used for your cutting mat. So this morning I was making a cute little box that had some vinyl Christmas trees on it, so I was cutting matless on the Cameo. So if you were going to change your machine and you were going to use the portrait or anything, you would just come up to Machine, and then you would select the machine you're using. I'm still using the Cameo 4. So, sorry, we got a question. So it looks like Jan asked, are there any differences in this class between the two machines? And then Jan said, could you reference to Cameo first edition? So if you're just talking about the first Cameo, Jan, maybe you have an old machine, you can do everything in this class with the older machines. Nothing is unique to the Cameo 4 or the Portrait 3 or any of the new models. So I think that's what you're asking, but if you want to elaborate on that, just go ahead and put it in the chat too, and I'll look back at it. Okay, so we selected our machine. Now at this slot, you would select your cutting mat that you're using. I am not going to use a cutting mat, so I'm going to select none. But if I was going to use my Cameo cutting mat, I would use the 12 by 12. We do have a 12 by 24 mat also if you're wanting to cut a longer media. But I'm just going to select none, and then I will do my media. I'm doing custom since I'm not doing a mat. And then my width is set to 11 inches, so it will fit. And then the height, it doesn't really matter what I'm doing because I'm not going to do it more than 12 inches. So I can just leave it at 12 inches, which is the default, because it will just keep rolling through until it reaches the end of the roll. But today I don't even think we'll reach the end of the roll because we're just going to be cutting a small little accent up in the corner up here. So everything is good here for our page setup. So now I want to take you guys to the Silhouette Design Store. And this is a super great resource for anybody that's not interested in designing their own things in Silhouette Studio. So that is an option. You can completely design your own designs with your own shapes and your own text, and those are all things that we go over in our other classes that we teach. But today we just want to show you guys how to purchase a design from the design store and open it in Silhouette Studio. We might have to resize it a little bit and then we will cut it. So those are kind of the basic 3 or 4 skills that we're going to be doing today. And I actually wanted to point out that you guys have seen this slider going, and we always have sales here in the design store. So right now we're having our Cyber Week sale, which is our biggest sale of the year. So all designs are discounted right now. They're 40 to 75% off. So anything that you buy this week is going to be on sale, which is super awesome because everybody likes things that are on sale. And then we also are doing a free design of the day. We kind of did a 12 days of Black Friday that started last week, and we've been giving away a free Christmas design every day that you can check and look back for every single day. So this is today's Merry Mama, kind of a retro feel. We're doing a credit boost sale that you can read about. Credit boosts are just prepaid credits that you buy to the design store that you can get at a discounted price. We're also doing a subscription sale, which is kind of like a credit boost, but a subscription, you just get a certain number of dollar credits every month, and they do expire at the end of the month. But those are also on sale right now. This is a super awesome class that we did 2 weeks ago, the 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. And we did teach how to make all of these awesome little Lori Whitlock houses. If you're interested in houses, that's a fun class. And then we also have a free design of the week every single week that we switch out on Tuesdays. So this is apart from the Black Friday 12 days designs. This is something we have done every single week for a very, very long time. And this is this week's design on Tuesday. So it's very cute, and we do switch it out every Tuesday. And then lastly, you can also buy your designs in bundles, which works out to be a little bit cheaper. So we'll just come up here to the bundles tab, and you can see they're just different themes that kind of go with the time of year, with the holidays, or just things like that. So you can buy those, and they are discounted, and they're actually heavily discounted. This one is, because it's a bunch of fonts. So it's supposed to be $157 if you bought them all individually, and it's actually $28.99. So that's a super cool way to use the design store. And I always like to go to the free tab. I just told you guys about the free designs, which are this one today and this one this week. But then they always have more designs also, and they just kind of change out periodically. I really love this butterfly, or I thought this bow was really, really cute. I actually have some paper bows on some boxes that I'm going to show you guys after, but that was a really fun project. So if you're new to Silhouette, I always recommend going to the free tab and just trying things out before you buy anything, just to make sure that you really like it and you figure out how to use it, and they're a great way to practice all of your things that you need to. So that's the design store, and I actually am going to open the chat right now. Well, actually, I'm going to stop my screen share because I want you guys' input on a couple things on what you guys want to see me make today. So I have a couple blanks. So I wanted to show you guys a couple projects that kind of go with Christmas that we could kind of look at today. So I showed you guys those paper bows in the design store, and I saw these, and I thought they were super, super awesome. This is actually a Michael's class that we did a couple months ago that was taught by Jen Gallagher. So if you want to look for it on Michael's YouTube, you can type Silhouette paper bows by Jen Gallagher, and you'll be able to find these. I think they're super, super fun, and this is kind of like that free paper bow that I showed you in the design store. So this is a really cool, fun design to do for Christmas if you made it Christmas colors. And then I actually just made this morning. I just bought these white boxes from Michael's, all of them, and then I just cut out some Christmas trees in gold vinyl, and I think this would be a super awesome way to gift jewelry, just like a small little necklace or a bracelet or something like that, because I feel like it's always hard to know how to gift those things, because I don't like to just put it in a little transparent bag, because then they know what it is before they open it. So I thought this was a really, really fun idea for something like that. And they have all kinds of sizes. They have these square ones. They also had one at Michael's that was about just the width of 2 trees. So if you were going to do like a ring or something like that, super, super fun. So these are just some different ideas. So if you guys are interested, we can do some vinyl on this little square box today. Or I also found this around the office. I thought it was really, really cute, so I could demonstrate how to put some vinyl on the lid of this, or like one of the sides, like a little Christmas phrase. So go ahead and tell me what you guys prefer in the chat, and then we'll kind of get going on that part of the class. Okay, all right, so we have 2 votes for the mason jar. Wow, it's actually pretty clear. Everybody wants to see the mason jar. Okay, awesome. So these are really, really fun too. We actually, I made an Instagram reel out of this Christmas tree box. So if you wanted to see how I put vinyl on the box, you can be looking for that reel later today. And it's kind of like a mini, very quick time-lapse tutorial. Perfect. All right, Joseph said, I need the basics, how to cut and how to place it on the jar. That's exactly what we're doing today. It's going to be super, super simple, super easy. So the next thing I want to ask you guys, though, is what do you want to see on the jar? And that it can be anything. I just want to show you guys how vast the Silhouette Design Store is. So obviously this is kind of a Christmas thing, so maybe we'll put like a Santa or a reindeer or a snowflake, something like that. So go ahead and put it in the chat what you guys would like to see. All right, we have tree, snowflake, and reindeer. We have 2 votes for snowflake, so let's go ahead and do snowflake. And I think snowflakes are really fun because I'll also be able to show you guys some weeding tips, which is really, really nice because they usually have really fun, different ways to weed because sometimes it can be really, really tiny pieces. So I see somebody asked about 2 color designs, and we do have classes in the past that are 2 colors, but since this class is basic, we're not going to be able to cover that in this class today. But we have done classes in the past. And we're actually, somebody said you won't see a snowflake with the candy. I'm actually going to do it on the top just because this is just a nice little circle. So as you go forward, you can do a different color, but I'm actually going to do it on the top. And I kind of realized I don't have any snowflake-esque colors right here. Do we have any white over there, Brian? Oh, good. Okay, so we got some white. All right, so Joanne just asked if we do all of the Silhouette classes on a Zoom meeting. So we do a lot of our classes on a Zoom meeting, but we do offer some classes like through YouTube or sometimes Facebook Live, but it mostly is always on Zoom because that's how we do them through Michael's and things like that. But we do have tons of tutorials on YouTube too that aren't live and you can't interact with us. But we do have lots of classes that are project-based, so those are super awesome. All right, so somebody asked, how do you find the classes to attend for Michael's? So you just go to, maybe Felicia can put the link in the chat, but you just go to michaels.com/online classes, I think is the link. And you can just find all the classes that you want to go to. And there's not just Silhouette classes. There's all kind of crafts. I've seen macrame classes or embroidery classes or knitting classes. So there's all kinds of things that you could check out if you're interested. All right, so I just loaded the roll into the Cameo 4. And actually, since we are using the white vinyl that I didn't have before, we need to change to 9 inches in Silhouette Studio. So we're going to go ahead and start my screen share again. And then I'm going to come into Silhouette Studio, and then I'm going to change the width right here to 9. And then as you can see, it just shrunk down my board. So then we're going to go back to the store and then look for a snowflake that you guys would like to see. So I just come up to the search bar and I just press snowflake or type snowflake. And there are so many, as you guys can see. I already have a lot of snowflakes downloaded. Some of them come in little bunches or bundles, which is really nice because you get 4 for similar to the price of 1. we're just gonna look. I kind of want to do one that's pretty simple, just so everybody feels like it's not crazy and they can do it. So I think I'm gonna do this one, Snowflake by Sweet LC. And in the design store, anytime we post a project on social media, we always include the design ID. And that is this number right here. And anytime you see a project posted that has a design ID, you can type this number into the search bar and then you'll be able to find the design. So this design ID is 105349. So to purchase a design in the design store, you just press this little shopping cart and then you press the blue arrow and it will take you to your cart, and then you just click checkout, and then it will have you type your password just to ensure that you just double verify, and then we purchase the design. So then we can shut the design store and open up the Silhouette library, and then just always come down here. As you guys can see, I have 1,400 files, so I have a lot of files, so I like to use the search bar up here, but anytime you purchase a design, come down here and press sync, and that will just make sure your most recent purchases are added to your library. So we did a snowflake, and I know I even already have a lot of snowflakes in the design store. This is the one that we chose. So I just find the design, and then all I do is double click it, and it opens up in Silhouette Studio. And as you guys can see, this design is huge right now, which is actually really good because I saw some people that were asking how to resize the design. So that's actually what we're going to cover right now. So as far as Silhouette Studio goes, I would say this is our first skill that we're going to learn in Silhouette Studio, is how to resize a design. So this design is all one piece, so it's really, really easy. All you do is click the design, and then you hold down Shift, and then drag the corners. Oh, and actually you don't even have to hold down Shift. You can just drag the corner, as long as you don't drag this one. And if you do make a mistake, Control Z or Command Z is the way to undo anything. Or you can also press this button up here, is undo. But you can just go ahead and drag on the corners. I'm actually going to show you guys, I forgot to do this before, but I just want to stop my share real quick to show you a trick that I like to use to know how big to make my design. So I don't have a ruler right here. Oddly enough, I don't really have a ruler around when I'm crafting, but your mat has, it's marked on the inches. So it's a ruler in itself, like an area ruler. And one thing that I like to do is I just like to take my mat and lay it on top of whatever I'm putting my design on, and I can see that it's about 3 inches by 3 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that's how big my circle is, and that's just an easy way to know how big to make it. So I want it to be under 3 inches in diameter all the way around when I make my design in Silhouette Studio. Awesome, so we're going to start the screen share again. So right now it's actually 2.8, which is, I think it would be a good size, but since it has like the ridges, I'm actually going to kind of make it a little bit smaller. Let's do it 2.5 even. And if you want it to be exact, you just come up here and press this lock, and then you can just type 2.5, and it will be exact. So this is all we need to do for this part of the project. Let me stop my screen share to just show you one more thing that Kelly pointed out. When you are cutting matless, this roller moves, and I was cutting 9-inch vinyl before we started, so that's why this is here. But this roller is to keep your material in place. So if you're not using 9-inch vinyl, you press this little lever down, and then you press the lock button, and then you just slide it until it clicks into place again. And it will click, it won't slide anymore. But we are using 9-inch vinyl, so we're just going to put it back there. But I did want to point that out because that is a helpful skill and tool to know for matless cutting and to be successful with matless cutting. So thanks for pointing that out, Kelly. All right, awesome. I don't think we have any other questions right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and come back in my software. I need to start my screen share again. Okay. Okay, so we're back in the software. Our design is 2.5 inches. Our material is loaded. So now we can go to the send panel. I don't want to go too fast, so before I send it, are there any questions, or does anybody need me to redo anything? I'm going to open the chat, because I know a lot of you guys are really new, and I just want to make sure this class is crystal clear and that you don't have any questions about how to resize a design or anything like that. Okay, well, it doesn't look like we have any. Oh, this is a great question. How do you copy the snowflake so you can print or cut more of them? So this is a really simple process also. You can always use keyboard shortcuts if you know what they are, but I think the easiest way is to just right click and then click copy, and then right click and then click paste. And then you will just drag it to where you need it. And you can fill the whole page with them if you need to. Okay. All right, Valerie said it would be helpful to see a matte cut instead of vinyl. I actually think we'll have time to show both if we can get a piece of paper, Brian. I think we'll be able to we can show you how to cut this with the matte also. So Karen asked, should you put more on a sheet so not to waste? So I only have one jar right now, so it would be wasteful for me to cut more. And I'm going to be just using this little square of vinyl, and then I'll just cut out this piece and then load it in the next time without the rest of it. So I'm actually not wasting any vinyl. But that is a good point, Karen. If you are using paper or whatever and you're making a lot of them, you should fill it to not do it just one time. Okay, Yvonne said, where do the little squares need to be before cutting on screen so the design doesn't get cut off? I'm not sure what squares you're talking about, Yvonne, but this red box is your cut. Oh, so the squares on the mat. So that was just a little tip. It's just approximate. So you would line up your paper on the mat, and I can show you guys how to do that when we do the paper cut. But the measuring was just approximate. So one thing that I know is that this is just 2.5, and so I just kind of moved it inward a little bit. Okay. All right, so it looks like we're going to go ahead and go to the send panel now. And while this is cutting, I'll be able to answer you guys' other questions. So in the send panel, this is what it looks like. Everything's showing up in dark red, so we know that everything's good to cut. Sometimes it will show up as not in red, and you would just need to click this cut. We need to change this material to vinyl, and this is matte vinyl, I believe. Yes, so if this was showing up just like this and it wasn't in dark red, you would just click this cut button and then you would be good to go. So I need to select my machine down here, so I just come down here to this little machine button, and as you can see, we have a ton of machines here in our office, but I just need to find the one that says available. So I just go ahead and select that machine, just click it, and sometimes it takes a second to connect, and now everything's connected. It's syncing right now, and we're ready to go. So I selected matte vinyl, and I'm using the auto blade, so I'm not actually going to do anything with either of these because the auto blade is detected by the machine. And one thing that I like to do when I cut vinyl is I like to cut it on a blade depth of 2. That's just my personal preference. You don't have to do that. You can try and cut it on a 1, but I just like to use it for a 2. And then I want to show you guys another specialty feature. We're very basic in this class. We learned how to resize the design. And then the other feature of Silhouette Studio that I want to show you guys is how to do a test cut. So this is a great way to not waste material and to make sure that you're using your vinyl and your materials to the most that you can. So you're just going to come down here to this test button, and you're just going to click test, and then I'm going to stop my share, and it just cuts out a little triangle and then a little square around the triangle. So it's very, very quick, but it just makes sure that your cut settings are right before you cut the entire thing. So I'm just going to unload that real quick. Oh, and I actually didn't have it all the way up in far enough. I should have loaded it a little bit further. But since it's a test cut, I'm not too worried about it. But you can see that it actually cut perfectly, the vinyl, but it just cut the bottom because I didn't load it through myself far enough. So I'm just going to reload that. And then I'm just going to use the downward arrow to feed it through a little bit. Just like that. All right, and now I'm going to start this, and then the only thing that we have to do at this point is we just have to come down here. We made sure our cut is perfect and everything, so we just need to press send. Oh, okay, so Yvonne said, I was asking about the little corner squares that are on the four corners of any design. I want to know where those need to be placed in regard to the red boundary lines. So anytime that you see this square, so she's talking about these little corners right here, everything needs to be in the middle of the boundary line always. You can't have it off the boundary line like this. You can't have it on the boundary line. You need to have it a little bit inside. As long as it's visibly inside, you're good. So that's a great question, Yvonne. Let me just pull up the chat again to, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't screen sharing for that. Let me just show you guys. So it just needs to be inside this red line always. It can't be overlapping it. It can't be on it. It just needs to be on, inside of it, even if it's just a little bit. Whoops, sorry. Need to open the chat. Okay, let's see. Okay, so you guys saw the boxes because I screen shared. I'm just looking at the chat. Okay, sweet. So somebody asked, is there any way to draw an original design and then prepare for cutting? So you can do that, and we have a lot of classes that talk about how to design your own things in the software using the shapes tools and the pencil tool and things like that. So that is something you can do. But I think that is everything, all the questions we have. So somebody asked, are you referring to the registration marks? And she's not referring to the registration marks. When you click the design, she just means these four corners right here, the little squares. That's for print and cut, and that's another class that we have. But okay, well, I think that's everything that we have. Somebody said it's not detecting their mat. It actually doesn't detect your mat automatically. You will have to change your cutting mat over here for whatever you're using it for. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share now. And then I'm going to unload it by pressing the downward arrow. And I'm actually just going to cut out my square right here. Like I said, I don't want to waste any vinyl. I will say white vinyl is possibly the hardest material to see your cuts on. It's kind of funny. Just kind of wiggle it around until you see the lines. Okay. And then I'm just going to put away the roll feeder. If we have time, I can show you guys the paper cut. It's pretty much the same, but it is slightly different. So I'm not sure if we will have time by the time we're done, but we'll see. So I'm just going to put that right here, and then just slide these to the side. And then to weed this design, something that I like to do is I just like to find an edge, like that's close, and then I actually like to break it. Just pull it towards the outside. and then I just like to go around in a circle. So if your cut settings are right, everything will weed super, super easily and super nicely. And you can just kind of like wiggle it in an S shape. I learned that from Kelly last week in her class. So just like kind of like move it back and forth a little bit if it doesn't want to come out. But this is a pretty easy and simple design. Definitely for your first few vinyl designs, don't pick anything that has really, really thin lines or really, really small letters. But it's pretty easy. And then you'll just take your hook tool. You can purchase this separately or you can use a different brand, whatever you want. And then you'll just take out these little triangle pieces. Sometimes I use a lint roller if I have a lot of tiny little pieces, but today I'm just using my the leftover material that was around the snowflake because it's sticky, and these are sticky. They stick to your skin, to your nails, to your hair, everything if you let them. Okay, perfect. So that is how we weed our design. And then I have this is transfer tape. So if you're new to vinyl crafting, this is how you put vinyl designs onto materials, or what's the word, objects, I guess. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut a square of my vinyl. I think this will be big enough. Or not my vinyl, my transfer tape. And you just need it to cover your snowflake. So even if it's not as big as the outside, you just need it to cover this. And then you just peel the paper backing off, and then you're left with this like transparent plastic sticky material. And you're just going to put it on top of your vinyl. And then I'm using the Silhouette scraper tool, but I've also seen people use a credit card or anything that just has a strong hard edge. So I just go over it a few times. And then you just slowly peel the backing away. And sometimes if it's not sticking, you just need to make a sharper angle. You just need to kind of make a crease and then pull it away at a sharper angle. And that should make it stick. Okay, awesome. And save this little piece because you can reuse transfer tape too. Which is a super helpful tip, I think. So now what we're going to do is I'm actually going to take this off. Oh, never mind, it's all one. I thought it's not a real mason jar. Okay, so I guess I'll just put this on. And my measurement was not super exact because it's definitely not 3 inches. So that was my bad on the measuring. I must have not been looking at it correctly. So mine actually goes out to the little edge. But I'm just still going to press it down really firmly. You can use your scraper tool to like crease the inside of this. It's actually kind of cute how it goes up on the edge a little bit. Obviously if it was a real mason jar that wouldn't work, but and then all you do after that is you just peel your transfer tape like this, and it actually kind of left a circle in my tape, which is fine, it will still work. And then I just put my transfer tape back on there, and then I have my finished design, which is super fun. Awesome, so congrats guys, this is the basics of using your Silhouette machine. We learned how to resize the design, we learned how to make a test cut, and those are basically all you need to know for buying a design from the design store, and then cutting it in Silhouette Studio. So don't be too scared, get your machines out of the box. It looks like we have about 9 minutes, so I'd love to show you guys how to use the mat also, if that's okay with you guys. If you don't have time, or you don't care about seeing the mat, that's totally fine. But just for those that are interested, I can totally show that. So when you're using a mat, you just peel off this blue cover, and you will want to keep the cover because it helps it so that your mat stays sticky and doesn't get hair and dust and things like that. And in a craft room, I'm sure it can get super, super dirty. So we're going to, since we're doing a snowflake, we're just going to use this paper because we have it right here. But you would just load your paper onto your mat, just line it up the best that you can. And then you just, for this part, we will want to move this roller. So we're just going to unlock it and then slide it down. And it clicks into place. You'll be able to feel it when you move it. And then you're just going to load this into the machine. And this will be a little bit quick. So if you are a new user, we do have a lot of classes where I show how to use the mat. So this will be quick. I'll try and keep it as basic as I can. But we need to just come up here, and our machine is the same machine, but then we need to change our cutting mat to 12 by 12, and you'll notice that it adds kind of the contour of the cutting mat, and then our media is also 12 by 12. So if you were making like gift tags and you wanted to fill up the whole page, you would copy your snowflake and everything and fill the whole page. But I'm just going to cut one to show you guys how it works. I don't necessarily need to move that, but I'll just put it as close as I can to the edge. And then I come to the send panel, and I need to change this to cardstock because that's the material that I'm using. And then I always like to bump this up to about a 5, just because my paper that I'm using is really, really thick. I've used this Echo Park paper before, and I just have used it before, and I know that it's really thick. But you could always use your test cut feature and adjust depending on the different materials and paper and thickness that you're using. But then all you do, there's not really anything different. You just press send. Oh, hold on, let me pause this. So actually, Kelly made a really good point that I just looked over. This roller is not supposed to be on the material. So there's a little notch. You guys probably can't see it because it's so small, but you just need to slide it one more out so the roller's on your mat, but not on your material. So thanks for catching that, Kelly. So somebody asked, please speak on force and speed settings. And the force is how hard it's pushing down on the material, and the speed is how fast it's cutting. I've never changed the force. In all of my silhouette crafting, I've actually never changed it aside from the default. So I don't necessarily think you need to ever change it, but speed, you can always speed it up or speed it or slow it down to adjust if that's something you're interested in. There are some materials that I don't recommend speeding up. Paper often tears if you cut it too fast, so I think that the default settings are perfect for speed and force. So I never change them, but I do change the blade depth sometimes. So before we unload this, I just want to make sure that it cut all the way through. So I just like to kind of like bend my mat back and then peel the paper just a little bit. And I know that paper is pretty busy, so you probably can't tell, but it looks like it did cut. So I'm just going to go ahead and unload this. And then just slowly peel. I actually like to flip it over so I don't ruin the paper. And I just like to slowly peel the mat away from the paper. And then this just prevents curling. You can kind of tell, I'll flip this over, but when I was peeling the paper from the mat, it curled up like this, but when you peeled the mat from the paper, it stays nice and flat. So that's kind of a helpful tip. All right, so then I'm gonna flip it over again just to get my little snowflake off. And I just peel really slowly, especially when you're using delicate pieces like this. And then you can see that it left those little inside pieces for me that I don't need. So I just like to take my Silhouette scraper tool and just move those over. And then you'll just put your cover on your mat, and that is how you cut with a mat. So it looks like somebody asked, what is the default force settings for Cameo 3? So the settings are actually based on the material, not the machine. So it looks like for cardstock, the default force is 30 for the textured cardstock. So that's how the force works, is that it doesn't go by machine, it goes by material. So I hope that's clear. Awesome. Well, we're kind of wrapping up, so it doesn't look like we have a ton more questions. Somebody asked about passes. Passes just means it goes over 2 times or 3 times. If your material is really, really thick, you can just select to do 2 passes. If you're cutting chipboard, it will mostly have you do 2 passes. So that's what those are. Awesome. Well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions, so thank you guys so much for joining me today. It's been super awesome to show you guys how to do a basic vinyl cut and how to do a basic paper cut. We will be having this class again next month, an intro class, so if you're interested, we'll do it again. I know that repeating things often helps people learn, so I'd love to see you again next month for another intro class, but if not, be sure to check out our upcoming Zoom classes and our upcoming premium classes with Kelly. So thank you guys so much for joining me. You guys are awesome, and have a great rest of your Christmas time.